9 salad dressings you should double check, and 3 honest ones. Decode your plate. Here's something almost nobody stops to check. You're doing the healthy thing. You built a salad, you loaded it with vegetables, and then you reach for the dressing to make it taste good. But that bottle of dressing is often where a genuinely healthy meal quietly goes sideways, because a lot of dressings are mostly cheap oil, sugar, and water dressed up with a reassuring label. At Culinary Cipher, we believe the healthiest choices begin with understanding what's really in your food, not just what's printed on the front of the package. So before you pour that dressing over those greens again, let's double check what's really in that bottle, because the dressing can easily carry more of a punch than everything under it combined. The whole thing comes down to what the dressing is actually made of. A real, honest dressing is basically good oil, an acid like vinegar or lemon, and seasoning. But many bottled dressings lead with water and a cheap oil, then lean on sugar, thickeners, and flavorings to make that combination taste rich. The front of the bottle sells you a garden and a drizzle of olive oil, while the back tells a very different story. Once you learn to read the first few ingredients, you'll know instantly. Let's double check the 9 to watch, and then the 3 actually worth pouring. Number 1, the made with olive oil dressings. This is the classic. The front proudly says olive oil, and you picture a bottle full of it. But flip it over, and very often the first oil listed is soybean or canola, with olive oil trailing far behind in a much smaller amount. Made with olive oil only means some olive oil is in there, not that it's the main oil. Double check which oil actually comes first, because that's the one you're mostly eating. Number 2, the sweetened vinaigrettes. Vinaigrette sounds light and simple, just oil and vinegar, right? Yet many bottled ones are loaded with added sugar or high fructose corn syrup to soften the tang. A raspberry or balsamic vinaigrette can carry a surprising amount of sugar per serving. Double check the sugar line, because a dressing marketed as the light, virtuous choice can quietly be one of the sweeter things in your fridge. Number 3, the fat-free and light dressings. People grab these to cut calories, but here's the catch. When you pull the fat out of a dressing, it tastes thin and flat, so manufacturers usually add sugar, salt, and thickeners to bring the flavor and body back. You often trade a little healthy fat for a lot more sugar and a longer ingredient list. Double check what replaced the fat before you assume fat-free means better, because it frequently means sweeter. Number 4, the creamy ranch, Caesar, and blue cheese dressings. These creamy classics are usually built on that same water and cheap oil base, plus emulsifiers, thickeners, flavorings, and sometimes added sugar to round it out. There's nothing wrong with enjoying them, but they're a processed product, not the simple buttermilk and herb mixture the name suggests. Double check the list, because ranch on the front tells you the flavor, not the ingredients. Number 5, the thickeners doing the heavy lifting. Ever notice how a cheap dressing clings so perfectly to a leaf? That's often xanthan gum, modified food starch, or other thickeners engineered to give a thin, watery base the luxurious cling of a real dressing. It's not dangerous, but it's a sign that the richness you're tasting is built rather than real. Double check whether the body of the dressing comes from actual oil or from a thickener standing in for it. Number 6, the added colors. Some dressings get a boost of artificial or added color to look richer, herbier, or creamier than their ingredients would naturally allow. A ranch that's a little too white or a vinaigrette that's a little too vivid may owe that look to added coloring. Double check for color additives, because a dressing that needs help looking appetizing is telling you something about what's actually inside. Number 7, the serving size sleight of hand. Here's the number that fools everyone. The nutrition panel is usually based on 2 tablespoons, which is a surprisingly small pour, far less than most people use on a real salad. So the sugar, salt, and calories you read on the label can easily double or triple in your actual bowl. Double check the serving size, then picture how much you truly pour, because the real numbers on your plate are the ones that count. Number 8, the sodium load. Dressings are often a quiet, major source of salt, using it to make a cheap base taste bold. A couple of tablespoons can carry a big chunk of a day's sodium, and again, most people pour more than that. If you're watching your salt for any reason, the dressing is one of the easiest places to overshoot without noticing. Double check the sodium line, because it's often higher than anything else on your plate. Number 9, the store brand and value dressings. Don't assume plain packaging means a simpler recipe. Budget dressings are very often built on the exact same template as the name brands: water, cheap oil, sugar, thickeners, and flavorings, just in a plainer bottle at a lower price. A modest-looking label can still hide a long back panel. Double-check before you decide the cheap bottle is the humble, honest option, because it usually follows the same formula. Now let's be fair, because the goal is to read labels, not to fear salad dressing. A little dressing is what makes a big bowl of vegetables something you'll actually want to eat, and that's a genuine win. The oils and even the thickeners aren't villains in a small amount. The real issues are simply the hidden sugar, the hefty sodium, and the fact that made with olive oil often means mostly something else. Get clear on those three things, and you've solved most of the dressing problem, without giving up dressing at all. It's also worth knowing that a great dressing is almost embarrassingly easy to make, which changes how you see the whole shelf. The classic ratio is roughly 3 parts oil to 1 part acid, a good olive oil and a vinegar or some lemon juice, with a pinch of salt, a little mustard to bind it, and any herbs you like. Shake it in a jar for 15 seconds, and you have a fresh vinaigrette with 4 or 5 real ingredients and no sugar you didn't add yourself. Once you've done it once, the bottles promising simple and natural start to look a lot less appealing. So here are 3 honest ones worth reaching for. First, a simple oil and vinegar vinaigrette with a short label. Look for a bottle where a real oil, ideally olive oil, is the first ingredient, followed by vinegar or lemon and seasonings, with little or no added sugar. When the list reads like something you could make at home, you found an honest dressing. The shorter and more recognizable the ingredients, the closer you are to the real thing. Second, plain olive oil and a good vinegar or lemon, used straight. You don't actually need a dressing at all. A drizzle of quality extra virgin olive oil, a squeeze of lemon or a splash of vinegar, and a pinch of salt and pepper dresses a salad beautifully, with total control and nothing hidden. It's the honest original that every bottled vinaigrette is imitating, and it costs pennies per bowl. Third, make your own in a jar. Combine your oil, your acid, a spoon of mustard, and whatever herbs and seasonings you like, then shake. You get exactly the flavor you want, no added sugar unless you choose it, no thickeners, no mystery, and it keeps in the fridge for days. It's the cleanest, cheapest, most flexible option there is, and it turns the dressing from the weak point of your salad into the best part. Here's the quick rule to carry into the store. The front of the bottle will say whatever sells, made with olive oil, vinaigrette, light, natural. Ignore it and flip it over. Check which oil comes first, find the added sugar, and glance at the sodium. Then remember the serving size is smaller than your real pour. The moment you see water and a cheap oil leading, sugar or corn syrup close behind, and a row of thickeners and flavorings, you know exactly what you're really holding. It isn't dangerous and nobody's saying eat your salad dry. The point is simpler than that. You deserve to know whether you're dressing your greens with real oil and vinegar or with sweetened, thickened water. You don't need to toss every bottle in the door tonight. Just flip the dressing next time you're standing in that aisle. Real oil first, low added sugar, sensible sodium. That's the whole check. So go read the first 3 ingredients on the dressing in your fridge right now, and tell me in the comments whether olive oil is really the star or just a name on the front. I genuinely want to know how many of you find soybean oil where you expected olive. Because at Culinary Cipher, we're not here to tell you what you have to eat. We're here to help you see through the marketing so you can make informed choices for yourself and your family. Every ingredient tells a story. Every label is a clue. And when you know how to read them, you're no longer buying promises. You're buying with confidence. The smartest shoppers don't just read the front of the label, they decode what's on the back. So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep decoding your plate.